If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you are on the lookout for a wireless trackpad to use with your Chromebook or your Chromebox. And it's also highly likely that you have read about the demise of this guy. This is the Brydge C-Touch wireless trackpad. And while this breaks our heart a little bit because we really like this device and we're hoping that it was going to actually show up and start shipping sometime this year, it turns out it's not going to at all, and it's just not even going to be a thing. It's been canceled totally. The silver lining here, though, is the Apple Magic Trackpad 2, as we've talked about previously, works perfectly with Chromebooks, and in the time that I've not used it over the last few months, it actually feels like it's gotten better. And so we want to take a few minutes to show you how to go about setting it up and using it to its fullest potential on your Chrome OS device. Before we get into all that though, this video is brought to you by NordVPN. They're the VPN of choice for millions of users, including Chrome OS users, because they are awesome at what they do. It's keeping your browsing secure and safe while you're at home or out and about. If you'd like to learn more about them, head over to chromeunbox.com/NordVPN to learn more and get started today. In case you haven't been tracking along with the development of the Magic Trackpad 2 and Chrome OS saga, it's over a year old at this point, and we even made a video about it when it finally became a thing. But the way it all worked out was, a year and a half ago or so, there were no real wireless trackpads that worked in general for Chromebooks except for the Logitech T650. And we'd even seen at that time that they brought those drivers along because Logitech doesn't make this thing anymore and haven't made it for a couple years, but they kept bringing the drivers along. But we were running into Chromebooks where the drivers for some reason weren't there and none of the gestures would work for Chrome OS. And so we realized pretty quickly that if they didn't continue support for that, we wouldn't have any options for desktop wireless trackpads. And that's unfortunate because we have Chromeboxes. We have ways to dock Chromebooks where you have a whole desktop setup and you're not going to use the trackpad and keyboard that are on your Chromebook. It's really nice to have one of these. And so the options were starting to look really, really slim. And then out of nowhere, we saw Apple Magic Trackpad drivers being brought into Chrome OS via the Chromium repositories. And so we followed along as that development happened. And when it first started, it was literally just being able to move the mouse cursor with the trackpad once you've paired it up. And that was all it could do. It couldn't do any of the multi-touch gestures. But over time, as they worked on it, everything came over. And when we made our video finally and said, hey, this is a thing, you can go buy this trackpad and use it with Chrome OS, all the gestures work. So 3-finger swipe up, 3-finger swipe between tabs, now 4-finger swipes between virtual desktops, 2-finger clicks, 1-finger click. All of it works. All of it works flawlessly on any Chrome OS device across the board. And even back then, when everything seemed to be working really well, there was one kind of weird thing, and this may just be a habit of mine, that seemed to not be quite working. And I just have a tendency to lay my thumb across the bottom of the trackpad. I don't know if everybody does that. And so I had to start moving it to where I was leaving my thumb kind of like on the desk instead, because if my thumb was sitting still, it would misinterpret if I was trying to move the cursor around as like a pinch gesture. And so just everything would stop. And so I almost had to rework the way that I use the thing. And that wasn't the case with the T650 trackpad. Those were habits I built with that trackpad. And so that was a little bit of an annoyance to me. But again, that could just be a thing that I do and nobody else does. But it even seems like now that they've worked on these drivers and really brought stuff over, maybe it's like a palm rejection type thing, but I just here recently have not noticed that being a problem either. Matter of fact, as we prepared for this video, I spent a good day just using this trackpad as my main input device, and I really can't find any fault with it at all. And so while I'm sad to see this thing not actually come to fruition and not become a real product, I am pretty excited about the fact that this trackpad that clearly will be made for years and years to come does some really interesting, unique things and is made by a company that makes really, really high-end and great products, works perfectly and flawlessly with Chromebooks. One last thing I want to mention about this trackpad before we get into how you pair it up and make it work properly and move it between different Chrome OS devices is the uniqueness about the way it goes about clicking on the trackpad. And that's a really awkward way to say the haptics in this thing are kind of magic. And so I'm not usually a fan of Apple calling anything magic, and this thing is called the Magic Trackpad, but Honestly, it kind of is magic. So with this trackpad, the Brydge one, they ended up having to go with a regular click mechanism. So we call this a diving board kind of mechanism. So it's hinged at one end and you push it and it kind of does this number. So if I try to click it at the top, I can't even get a click to go. At the bottom, it's very responsive. But that click, that feel, that sound that you get is moving pieces. It's something that we're used to feeling, and it works because the thing moves. This trackpad, when it's turned off, doesn't move. There are no moving pieces. It's just solid. And yet when I turn it on, you're not gonna be able to hear this or feel this, obviously, on the video. Once I turn it on, I can click it, and it sounds like it's clicking, and it feels like it's clicking. And I don't fully understand how that works. I even know that it's not moving. I know it's not moving, and yet it feels like it's moving. But the benefit here is, with the same amount of pressure, I can push up in this corner, that corner, bottom corners, middle, doesn't matter. I get the same click no matter where I press on this. I get a larger surface area. I can get it in black and or white. And again, it's just a great piece of hardware. So again, I'm sad that the Brydge trackpad's not gonna work out, but I'm super happy that this one's working the way it is. So let's dig into how to get it working on your Chrome OS device. Okay, we have two Chromebooks sitting here, and you'll understand why in just a second, but basically the setup is about as dead simple as it gets for any Bluetooth device. Make sure the trackpad is turned off, and then go up to Bluetooth, click your down arrow. You can get here through your settings as well, but then click your settings gear. It's gonna open up to your Bluetooth settings. See, there's no paired devices right now. I'm gonna flip this thing on. Give it about 2-3 seconds usually, and it'll show up Magic Trackpad 2. Right now, the only way to rename this thing is to actually attach it to a Mac or something running Mac OS. So if you're really diehard about changing the name of it, you're gonna have to find someone that has a Mac or take it to an Apple store or something like that. It won't change its functionality whatsoever. So we're gonna click that. Again, pairs up almost immediately, and then boom, we got it. 3-finger swipe up, works just fine. If we go into, oh, I already got desks open. So if I go into virtual desks, 4-finger swipes work just fine. What else do you need to see? You need to see some 2-finger scrolling. So let's go to Chrome Unboxed. And you'll see 2-finger scrolling works just fine. Pinch to zoom works just fine. Again, 3-finger swipe up, no big deal. And then 3-finger swipe between tabs works just fine. So everything works as you would expect it to. And like I said, even if you leave your thumb sitting on the trackpad, like I have a tendency to kind of leave it down here, 1-finger navigation works fine. And even 2-finger gestures work fine with that thumb there. It's almost like it knows, I don't know, I guess it knows, hey, that's sitting still, so we're not going to count it as an input. I don't know how they do that and what those algorithms are. I know it's not a tendency for me on the regular trackpad because I tend to keep my thumb down on the side of the machine. But for these, the side of the device is actually the trackpad. So it's cool that they've kind of fixed that too. So my one little gripe I used to have with this thing is basically gone, and don't have any real issues with it. The other thing to note is if you want to move between multiple Chromebooks, you can pair it up with all kinds of Chromebooks. There's no real pairing mode you can go into with your Magic Trackpad. Turning it off, turning it on, if it doesn't immediately connect to something, it's gonna always be ready to pair with something else. So what you can do is go here and you can disconnect it from here. Because what I will say is if you turn it off, turn it back on, it's not gonna auto connect to anything. So watch, I'll disconnect it. I'll turn it off. I've already gone through the pairing process with this Chromebook over here. So you can see Magic Trackpad, same device is paired up on both of these. You would think a lot of Bluetooth devices, the minute you turn them on, they just pair automatically. This one won't do that, and that's actually a very good thing because you can move it between devices. Turned it on, it's not jumping on with either one of these. So I can choose, turn the device on and go, I'm gonna be working on this one. So I'm just gonna click on it. A couple seconds later, boom, we're connected. Now I'm moving around here. But what you'll notice is if I hit disconnect and I try to connect it without turning it off, like one power cycle on this, if I try to connect it over here, it's gonna fail. It's because it's still kind of connected over here, even though I've told the Chromebook to disconnect. So if I'll turn it off, give it a couple seconds, turn it back on, give it a second again, and then go to connect it, it'll connect right up. And I've bounced back and forth quite a bit between these two devices over the last couple days, and I've literally not had one issue whatsoever. So again, if it's not paired at all, the minute you turn it on, it's going to go to find it as a new device. Once you've got it paired, you do need to power cycle the trackpad itself before you can switch it between devices. And no, it's not going to auto connect once you turn the trackpad on. Even if it's connected and Bluetooth is turned on, you're gonna have to go click that connect button. And that allows you to move between devices with relative ease, honestly. One last thing before we let you go, be sure to go down in the description and hit that link for our On the Run to 100K giveaway. There are still two awesome prizes to be given away, the Pixel 4 brand new and the Asus Chromebook Flip C434. We're gonna give away the Pixel at 95,000 subscribers, and we're giving away the Chromebook at 100,000 subscribers. If you've already entered, you are still entered to win those things. But if you're not, go down there and hit that link in the description, get entered, share this out with your friends, share it out on social media. The faster we get to those numbers, the faster we get to give away this stuff, and we cannot wait to be mailing these things off to 2 lucky winners in the next few weeks. But guys, that's it for this one. If you liked it, make sure and give us a thumbs up. Go down there and hit the subscribe button as well. And don't forget to hit the notification bell if you'd like to be alerted when we make future videos just like this one. Also, there is a join button down there. If you hit it, you'll see all the benefits our members get, such as custom emojis and behind the scenes footage. Till next time, we'll see you.